In August 1942, a United States Navy surveillance blimp drifted out of the foggy California skies, crashing directly into a suburban street with its primary cockpit doors wide open. When military first responders breached the deflated hull, they discovered the engines running perfectly, the classified radios intact, but the two decorated pilots had completely vanished. This is the horrific mystery of the L-8 Ghost blimp, an airtight military forensic anomaly that Navy intelligence units spent decades trying to classify under emergency executive protocols. Today, we dissect the unredacted flight logs, the ocean radar anomalies, and the terrifying deep-sea variables that state authorities refuse to disclose to the public. The timeline locks in during the height of World War II, just months after the devastating surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, forcing the U.S. military to lock down the Pacific coastline. San Francisco was under constant threat of a Japanese naval invasion, prompting the Navy to deploy fleets of non-rigid airships, or blimps, to conduct continuous anti-submarine patrols. These massive airships were uniquely designed for coastal defense, capable of hovering silently over the ocean's surface for hours to detect hidden enemy subsurface vessels or floating mines. On the morning of August 16th, the L-8 airship took off from Treasure Island, manned by Lieutenant Ernest Cody and Ensign Charles Adams, two highly trained veteran military aviators. Their flight path was completely routine, a simply 5-hour tracking sweep over the Farallon Islands, located roughly 30 miles off the coast of the Golden Gate Bridge. The weather was overcast but stable, presenting zero volatile atmospheric parameters that could jeopardize the structural integrity or the navigation controls of the aircraft. 1 hour into the patrol, Lieutenant Cody radioed the naval base, stating they had spotted a suspicious dark oil slick on the ocean surface near the Farallon Islands. This was an immediate tactical indicator of a hidden submarine engine leak, prompting the crew to drop low to execute a closer visual and physical investigation. Crew members of a commercial Liberty ship and a civilian fishing vessel operating in the area actively watched the L-8 circle low over the oil slick, confirming both pilots were alive. They observed the blimp drop an emergency smoke flare to mark the coordinates, before ascending back into a dense, low-hanging ocean fog bank at approximately 7:30 in the morning. That was the exact microsecond the communication matrix broke completely, as the Navy base received zero further radio updates or emergency distress transmissions from the crew, despite the absolute radio silence. Coastal lookout towers spotted the L-8 rising sharply out of the fog, ascending to an unapproved altitude of nearly 2,000 feet. The airship was behaving erratically, drifting aimlessly with the wind currents, as if the manual flight controls inside the cockpit had been completely abandoned by the personnel. The massive craft slowly drifted back toward the mainland, crossing over the Golden Gate shorelines, while thousands of terrified civilian onlookers watched from the beaches below. As the blimp crossed the coastal hills, the changing atmospheric pressure caused the helium gas bags to partially deflate, warping the structural shape of the outer rubber envelope. The crippled airship scraped across a local golf course, dropping its heavy emergency depth charges onto the grass, before finally slamming into a residential street in Daly City, California. The gondola wedged itself tightly between two houses, drawing an immediate swarm of local police officers, firefighters, and civilian neighbors who rushed to rescue the military crew. But what they found inside the compact aluminum cabin completely defied logical human explanations and shattered standard forensic aviation protocol. The cockpit door was wide open, with its safety-retaining latch securely locked back, an active physical setting that is only executed when a crew member is intentionally stepping outside. Inside the main cabin, the highly classified, ultra-secure military radio gear was fully functional, tuned perfectly to the primary Navy frequency, with zero signs of physical tampering. The pilots' individual parachutes, along with the automated inflatable rubber life rafts, were resting undisturbed in their designated emergency wall racks, completely untouched. Lieutenant Cody's service cap was sitting neatly on top of the instrument dashboard, and a half-eaten sandwich pack remained on the seat, proving the departure was instantaneous and unplanned. Two of the ship's 3 emergency life jackets were missing, which was a standard safety requirement whenever pilots operated outside the cockpit or near the open doors over water. The mechanical inspection team confirmed that the fuel valves were wide open, the engines had gas, and the batteries possessed full electrical voltage parameters. If the aircraft suffered zero structural failures, zero enemy fire, and possessed working parachutes, why did two highly disciplined officers abandon ship without launching a distress call? Navy search vessels immediately deployed to the oil slick coordinates, launching a massive maritime rescue sweep that scanned the Pacific waves for weeks without finding a single body. The official Naval Board of Inquiry concluded that the pilots must have fallen out of the open door by accident while inspecting the engine or dropping the smoke flare. They suggested that one pilot slipped, and the second officer leaped out into the open water in a desperate, frantic attempt to rescue his drowning comrade from the ocean currents. However, aviation experts quickly identified a massive mathematical flaw in this narrative, noting that the cabin design makes a simultaneous accidental fall structurally impossible. Alternative wartime theories suggest that a hidden Japanese submarine breached the surface right beneath the low-flying blimp, capturing the two pilots under armed threat. This speculation implies that elite Japanese commandos shot the crew down or boarded the slow-moving gondola to extract intelligence metrics regarding San Francisco's radar defenses. Yet, civilian ships in the immediate vicinity reported seeing absolutely zero enemy naval activity, zero gunfire, and zero unrecognized submarine hulls breaching the surface water. The mystery takes a dark, psychological turn when independent investigators cross-referenced the unredacted autopsy reports of future military incidents in that specific area. Rumors inside Black Bucket defense rings imply that the LA did not spot a Japanese submarine, but a highly anomalous, subsurfaced electromagnetic anomaly. This deep-sea entity supposedly emitted a high-intensity localized infrasound frequency, capable of triggering immediate, acute psychological madness and spatial disorientation. Under the influence of this violent auditory weapon, the pilots would experience an overwhelming, uncontrollable urge to escape the metal cabin, forcing them to voluntarily plunge into the sea. This explains why the radio was never used, as the frequency would instantly paralyze the human cognitive matrix before the operator could even process the emergency situation. Interestingly, the Elite Blimp envelope itself was repaired, refitted, and returned to active military service, carrying out dozens of secondary operations until the end of the war. Multiple mechanics and later pilots who operated the refitted craft documented a series of unexplained instrument failures and localized temperature drops inside the cabin. They claimed the mechanical altimeters would spin backward erratically whenever the blimp crossed the exact coordinates of the 1942 Farallon Island incident. It was as if the aircraft's structural material retained a physical, energetic recording of the terrifying event that erased its original crew from the timeline. In 1961, the Navy sold the airship to a civilian corporation where it operated as a promotional advertising blimp before being permanently disassembled from the registry. The true files regarding Cody and Adams remain locked inside classified naval historical vaults, officially listed as missing in action, with zero modern closures provided. The ghost blimp remains a silent, terrifying warning, a reminder that the deep waters of our oceans hold anomalies that can reach up and erase human life without leaving a trace. Did the pilots of the L8 fall victim to a brutal wartime cover-up? Or did they encounter an underwater anomaly that forced them to vanish into thin air? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, and turn on the notification bell for more mysteries, forgotten histories, and hidden truths, only here on Forgotten Clues.